Hello friends, by now you've already seen the stories of Taken 1 and 2. Today, we're diving into the final chapter of this saga, Taken 3. And trust me, this one is a completely different beast. This time, Bryan isn't up against Albanian gangsters. No, this time, his war is with the Russians. So, without wasting another second, let's step right into this dark, explosive story. Hey friends, welcome to my channel, Movie Hunts. Let's dive right into the story. The film opens with a chilling scene. A man is dragged into an office where a Russian gangster named Oleg is already waiting. Oleg is owed a fortune by this man's boss, so he forces him to open a locker, only to discover it's empty. Furious, Oleg executes him on the spot and leaves the body stuffed inside the locker, a deadly message for his boss. Cut to Bryan. He's just bought a giant panda plushie for his daughter. Meanwhile, back at home, his daughter Kim nervously takes a pregnancy test and finds out she's pregnant. With that secret weighed heavy on her, she meets her father later that day. They share a warm conversation, but she can't bring herself to tell him the truth. On his way home, Bryan gets a call from his ex-wife. They agree to meet, and he invites her over that night. While Bryan is cooking, Lenore shows up. She confesses that her marriage with Stuart has completely fallen apart and divorce is on the horizon. She even tries to grow close to Bryan again. But being the good man he is, Bryan doesn't take advantage. Instead, he hands her a spare key to his apartment and says, "If you ever feel lonely, if you ever need a safe place, you can always come here." The next day, Bryan distracts himself with a round of golf with his buddies, though deep down, you can see the happiness flickering back into his life after reconnecting with Lenore. Later, he meets Kim again. She had come hoping to ask her father whether she should keep the baby or not. But after watching some rowdy kids run wild in the restaurant, Kim realizes she's not ready for that responsibility. Without saying a word, she quietly leaves. That same night, Stuart shows up at Bryan's place. He warns Bryan to stay away from Lenore, convinced there's still something between them. Bryan calmly assures him that there's nothing going on and promises he won't see her again. But fate has other plans. The very next day, Lenore texts Bryan, begging to meet urgently. Concerned, Bryan picks up donuts on his way to her place, but when he walks into the house, his world collapses. Lenore is lying dead on the bed. Before Bryan can even process what he's seeing, police storm in and immediately peg him as the killer. They try to arrest him, but Bryan knows he can't clear his name sitting in a cell. The real killer is still out there, so he makes a daring escape, slipping away through a tunnel and vanishing into the city. Shaken, Bryan calls Kim. His voice is heavy. "Your mom's gone. I don't know who did this, but the cops are after me. I swear to you, I'll find the ones responsible." The case lands in the hands of Detective Frank, a sharp, relentless cop. He quickly deduces how Bryan managed to escape and starts closing in. Meanwhile, Bryan retreats to a hidden safe house loaded with weapons and high-tech gear. Frank interrogates Stuart and Kim, but doesn't get much. However, Kim insists her father could never kill her mother. Still, Frank suspects she's secretly in touch with Bryan, so the police bug her clothes with a tiny microphone to track him. Elsewhere, Stuart is shown Lenore's body. He breaks down, sobbing, and reveals something crucial. Years ago, Bryan saved Lenore and Kim from deadly gangsters in France and Istanbul. From that moment on, Bryan made enemies, powerful enemies. Maybe one of them came back to finish the job. Later, Bryan sneaks into the Morgan for one final heartbreaking goodbye to Lenore. Seeing her lifeless body shatters him. Meanwhile, Frank digs deeper into Bryan's past and discovers a blank spot. At just 20 years old, Bryan retired from the US Army and disappeared from official records. The truth? He'd likely been recruited into a secret government unit. That means this man is far more dangerous and harder to catch than they imagined.
Knowing Bryan's only weakness is his daughter, the police tighten surveillance on Kim. Frank also orders his team to pull the GPS data from Lenore's car, hoping it will reveal her movements before her death. But Bryan is one step ahead. He intercepts the car first and downloads the GPS records himself. That night, as he checks the data, his stomach drops. Lenore had driven far out of her way to a gas station with no clear reason. The next day, Bryan goes there and questions the staff. When he checks the security footage, the truth is horrifying. Lenore had been kidnapped before she ever walked inside, and the men who took her had strange tattoos on their hands. Before Bryan can dig deeper, police swarm in and arrest him. Strangely, he doesn't resist this time. He allows himself to be cuffed, which immediately raises Frank's suspicions. Bryan Mills isn't the kind of man who surrenders. And sure enough, inside the squad car, Bryan picks the cuffs, takes out the cops, and escapes once again. He even drives his car straight into an elevator shaft, causing a massive explosion to cover his tracks. Then he makes a call to Frank. His voice is calm, cold, and resolute. "Give me 2 days, just 2. I'll find the men who killed my wife. I didn't do this." Frank doesn't budge. "That's not up to me, Bryan. Guilt or innocence is for the court to decide. My job is to bring you in." Bryan pauses, then simply replies, "Good luck," and the line goes dead. Detective Frank studies the CCTV footage again, and this time it's clear. Lenore wasn't killed in her home. She was kidnapped first. The very next day, while Lenore's funeral takes place, Bryan secretly watches through a tiny hidden camera clipped to his friend Sam's collar. He can't be there in person, but he's watching, always watching. Meanwhile, Kim heads off to college, only to notice she's being tailed by plainclothes cops. She ignores them, but a little while later, she starts feeling sick. She rushes to the bathroom, only to find Bryan waiting for her. He'd been shadowing her the whole time, making sure she was safe. The first thing he does is rip the hidden microphone off her clothes. The moment he does, the cops outside panic. They storm into the building, racing to find her. Inside, Kim breaks down in tears and finally tells her father the truth. She's pregnant. Bryan is stunned. His little girl, not so little anymore. But there's no time to process. The cops are closing in. Bryan slips out of the bathroom and detonates a flash grenade inside the school. Students scatter in chaos, giving him the perfect cover to vanish once again. When the police corner Kim to interrogate her, she gives them nothing, no information, no hints. Instead, she calmly hands back the bug they planted on her. Meanwhile, Bryan has his eyes on Stuart. He notices him moving large amounts of cash in secret, and he follows. But suddenly, a truck rams Bryan's car, sending it tumbling off a cliff. The car explodes in flames. The men who staged the attack walk away convinced Bryan is dead. But Bryan Mills doesn't die that easy. He survives the crash, hijacks another car, and hunts down the Russians responsible. He tracks them to a supermarket. Inside, he takes them down one by one, cornering the last man at gunpoint. "Who sent you?" Bryan growls. But instead of answering, the man swallows poison and dies on the spot. On his hand, a tattoo. The same tattoo Bryan saw on Lenore's kidnappers. Realizing Stuart is tied to all of this, Bryan kidnaps him and drags him to a safe house. Under brutal interrogation, Stuart finally cracks. The Russians worked for a gangster named Oleg, a former Russian commando turned arms dealer. Oleg had business dealings with Stuart, but when a deal went south, Oleg demanded money Stuart didn't have. Threats escalated. To protect himself, Stuart warned Oleg that if anything happened to his family, Bryan would come after him. That single warning insulted Oleg's pride, so he killed Lenore to send a message. And now, he wants Kim dead too. Bryan's mission is suddenly crystal clear. Protect his daughter at all costs and wipe out everyone who stands in his way. With help from his trusted friends, Bryan snatches Kim away from police surveillance and hides her in a safe location. He keeps pressing Stuart for more details, learning that Oleg's stronghold is his luxury apartment, guarded by cameras, private elevators, and 10 armed bodyguards. Getting in won't be easy. But Bryan Mills has never cared about easy. He and his team hack the security feeds, take out the guards, and slip Stuart into Oleg's penthouse. At the last second, Bryan replaces him and storms in himself. Gunfire erupts. Oleg, armed with military-grade weapons, unleashes hell. But Bryan is faster, deadlier. 2 bullets tear through Oleg, dropping him. As he bleeds out, Bryan leans in close. "No one, not you, not anyone, will ever touch my daughter." Oleg coughs, laughing bitterly. "Your daughter? I didn't even know you had one. We were both played, Bryan. Stuart set us against each other. He owed me millions. He used your wife's insurance money as leverage, had her killed, and let you take the fall. He tricked both of us." With those final words, Oleg dies. Bryan reels. Everything shifts. Stuart isn't just involved. He orchestrated the entire thing. At the same moment, Kim discovers something on Bryan's phone. A text sent to Lenore, luring her to the gas station. But it wasn't Bryan who sent it. It was Stuart, secretly using his phone that night. Lenore thought she was meeting Bryan. Instead, she walked straight into a trap. Kim texts her dad the truth, exposing Stuart completely. Realizing he's been caught, Stuart snaps. He shoots Sam and grabs Kim, dragging her toward his private jet. His plan? Escape with her before anyone can stop him. But Bryan is already in pursuit. At the airstrip, Stuart forces Kim aboard the plane. Engines roar, ready for takeoff. Then, out of nowhere, Bryan slams his car into the aircraft, forcing it to a halt. Father and stepfather collide in a brutal final fight. Beaten and desperate, Stuart finally confesses. Yes, he used Bryan's phone to lure Lenore. Yes, he staged everything, framing Bryan to cover his tracks and claim the insurance money. Bryan is ready to end him. But sirens wail. Police flood the runway. Stuart smirks, taunting him.
"What now, Bryan? You can't kill me in front of them." Bryan's voice is low, cold, and deadly. "Don't worry. I know you've got connections. You'll slip out of prison soon enough. And when you do, I will be waiting, and I will finish this." The police take them both in, but once the truth is out, Bryan is cleared and released. In the end, he reunites with Kim and her boyfriend, finally ready to give them his blessing. This time, he's not just a father, he's a protector who's earned a moment of peace. And with that, the Taken trilogy reaches its end. 3 stories of love, loss, and a father who would burn the world down to save his daughter. If you haven't seen all 3 chapters, the links are in the description. Binge them back to back. And don't forget, let me know in the comments how you felt about this journey. For now, this story is over, but I'll see you again in the next one.